The orphanage was always cold, no matter the season. Tonight, though, the chill felt especially biting as I lay awake in my narrow bed, staring at the ceiling. I could hear the soft snores of the other girls, and the occasional creak of the old building settling. I knew I couldn't stay here any longer. I had to get to the city and start earning money for Grandma's surgery. I slowly sat up, careful not to make a sound. The clock on the wall read 2:13 a.m. Perfect. I had packed a small bag earlier that evening, just the essentials, a change of clothes, my old notebook filled with song lyrics, and a picture of Grandma. I took a deep breath, clutching the bag close to my chest, and slipped out of bed. The floorboards creaked under my feet, but I was used to the layout of the room and knew how to avoid the noisiest spots. I tiptoed to the window and quietly unlatched it. The cool night air hit my face as I pushed the window open. I glanced back at the sleeping forms of the other girls, feeling a pang of guilt. But I had no choice. Swinging my leg over the sill, I carefully lowered myself down to the ground. The drop was only a few feet, but it felt like a leap of faith. I landed softly and immediately ducked behind a bush, just in case anyone was watching. My heart pounded in my chest as I scanned the area. The orphanage grounds were deserted, save for the faint glow of the streetlights. I took a deep breath and started moving, sticking to the shadows. The city wasn't far, just a few miles. I walked quickly, my mind racing with thoughts of Grandma. She was the only family I had left, and she needed me. The thought gave me strength. After what felt like hours, I finally reached the city limits. The streets were quieter than I expected, but the neon lights of the buildings guided me. I headed towards the part of town where I'd heard there were restaurants and clubs. The place I was looking for was called the Blue Note. It was a small, somewhat run-down restaurant, but I had heard they allowed performers to sing for tips. As I approached the entrance, I hesitated. Could I really do this? What if they turned me away? I shook my head, pushing the doubts aside. I had come this far, and I couldn't turn back now. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior was dimly lit, with a few patrons scattered around, eating and chatting quietly. I made my way to the bar, where a man was cleaning glasses. He looked up as I approached, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice gruff. I took a deep breath. "I'm Eva. I heard you let people sing here for tips. I'd like to perform." He raised an eyebrow, looking me up and down. "You're awfully young. How old are you?" 16, I lied, hoping he wouldn't press the issue. He sighed, shaking his head. "We usually don't let kids perform here. It's not exactly a family-friendly environment." "Please," I pleaded, my voice trembling slightly. "I need the money. My grandmother is sick, and I have to help her. I promised I won't cause any trouble." He studied me for a moment, his expression softening slightly. "All right," he said finally, "but just one song, and if you're good, we'll see about letting you come back." "Thank you," I said, relief flooding through me. He nodded towards the small stage at the back of the room. "Go on then. The mic's all set up." I made my way to the stage, my heart pounding. This was it. As I stepped up to the microphone, I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, letting the music take over. I sang with everything I had, thinking of Grandma and how much I needed to make this work. When I finished, the room was quiet for a moment before a smattering of applause broke out. I opened my eyes to see a few patrons clapping, and the bartender giving me an approving nod. I stepped down from the stage, my legs shaking. The bartender approached me as I collected a few tips from a small jar on the stage. "You've got a good voice, kid," he said. "What's your name again?" "Eva," I replied, tucking the money into my bag. "I'm Hunter," he said, offering a hand. "You can come back tomorrow night, if you want. Same time." "Thank you, Hunter," I said, shaking his hand. He nodded. Just stay out of trouble, all right? I will, I promised, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in a long while. The next day passed in a blur. I spent the day wandering the city, trying to find a quiet place to practice my songs. By evening, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement bubbling in my stomach. This was my chance to make a difference for Grandma, and I couldn't afford to mess it up. I arrived at the Blue Note early, my stomach tied in knots. The restaurant was starting to fill up with patrons, the low hum of conversation mixing with the clinking of glasses and the faint strains of jazz from the speakers. I took a deep breath and approached the bar where Hunter was busy setting up for the night. "Hey, Eva," he greeted me with a nod. "Ready for tonight?" "As ready as I'll ever be," I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. Hunter gave me a reassuring smile. "You did great last night. Just do the same tonight, and you'll be fine." I nodded, clutching my bag tightly. Hunter's encouragement meant a lot, but I knew tonight would be different. The restaurant was busier, and the stakes felt higher. I needed to earn enough tips to make a real difference. As the clock neared 9, Hunter gestured for me to take the stage. My heart pounded as I made my way up, the spotlight feeling almost blinding. I could see the faces of the patrons looking up at me, some curious, others indifferent. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, letting the music take over. The first few notes were shaky, but as I continued, I found my rhythm. I sang with all the emotion I could muster, thinking of Grandma and how much she needed this. The room seemed to melt away, leaving just me and the music. Halfway through my performance, I opened my eyes to see a familiar face at the bar. Hunter was watching me, a small smile playing on his lips. His presence was reassuring, and it gave me the confidence to keep going. When I finished the song, the room erupted in applause. I stood there for a moment, soaking it in, before stepping down from the stage. A few people came up to drop tips into the jar, and I thanked each one, feeling a glimmer of hope. As I collected the money, Hunter approached me, clapping me on the back. "You did great, kid. Really great." "Thanks, Hunter," I said, feeling a warm glow of pride. "I just hope it's enough." "We'll get there," he assured me, one step at a time. Just then, a woman approached, a curious look on her face. "You've got quite a voice, young lady," she said. "Do you sing here often?" I shook my head. "This is only my second night." "Well, you've got talent," she said, dropping a generous tip into the jar. "Keep it up." "Thank you," I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. Hunter waited until the woman left before turning to me. "See, you're making an impression already." I smiled, feeling a surge of confidence. Maybe, just maybe, I could make this work. As the night wore on, I sang a few more songs, each one earning more applause and tips. By the end of the night, my jar was significantly fuller, and I felt a sense of accomplishment. Hunter helped me count the money, and while it wasn't enough for the surgery yet, it was a start. "Here," Hunter said, handing me a small envelope. "For you. It's not much, but it should help." I opened the envelope to find a few bills. "Hunter, I can't." He cut me off with a wave of his hand. "You can, and you will. You're working hard, Eva. You deserve it." Tears welled up in my eyes as I pocketed the money. "Thank you, Hunter, for everything." "Just keep singing, kid," he said with a smile. "You've got a gift, and it's going to take you far." As I left the Blue Note that night, I felt a sense of hope and determination I hadn't felt in a long time. The road ahead was still long, but I knew I wasn't alone. With people like Hunter supporting me, I had a fighting chance. And for Grandma, I would keep fighting, no matter what. The Blue Note was packed that Friday night. Every table was occupied, and the bar was 3 deep with patrons waiting for their drinks. The energy in the room buzzed with anticipation. I could feel the eyes of the crowd on me as I took the stage. Hunter had assured me that tonight would be a big night, and I could feel the weight of his words pressing down on my shoulders. I took a deep breath and began to sing, my voice cutting through the clamor of conversation. I could feel the room quieting as people turned their attention to the stage. The familiar melody of a classic ballad filled the air, and I poured my heart into each note. Halfway through my second song, the door to the Blue Note swung open, and a man stumbled in. He looked disheveled, his clothes rumpled, and his eyes wild. He made his way unsteadily toward the stage, his gaze fixed on me. I tried to ignore him, focusing on the music, but his presence was unsettling. As I reached the chorus, he shouted, "Mary. Mary, is that you?" His voice was desperate, filled with a mix of hope and despair. The room fell silent, all eyes now on the man who was causing the scene. I faltered, my voice wavering as I stared at him. Hunter quickly made his way through the crowd, his expression a mix of concern and irritation. "Sir, you need to calm down," Hunter said firmly, placing a hand on the man's shoulder. "You're disrupting the performance." The man shook his head, his eyes never leaving mine. "No, you don't understand. She's Mary. She has to be." He tried to push past Hunter, but Hunter held him back. "My name's not Mary," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm Eva." The man's face fell, confusion and pain etched into his features. "But you look just like her," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Just like her." "Let's take this outside," Hunter said, steering the man towards the door. The man didn't resist, his shoulders slumping in defeat. As they moved towards the exit, I tried to regain my composure. The room was still silent, the tension palpable. I took a deep breath and continued with my song, my voice stronger now, fueled by the need to prove myself. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. I smiled, grateful for their support, but my mind was still reeling from the interruption. I stepped down from the stage, my legs shaky, and made my way to the bar where Hunter was waiting. "You okay?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "Yeah," I said, nodding. "Who was that guy?" Hunter sighed, running a hand through his hair. "His name is Jordan Walker. He's a regular here, but he's been going through a rough patch lately. He lost someone close to him, Mary, I guess, and sometimes he drinks a little too much and starts seeing her everywhere." I frowned, feeling a pang of sympathy for the man. "That's awful." "Yeah," Hunter agreed. "But it doesn't excuse his behavior. I'm sorry you had to deal with that." "It's okay," I said, though my heart was still racing. "I just hope he's all right." Hunter gave me a reassuring smile. "You did great up there, despite the interruption. Don't let it get to you." I nodded, trying to shake off the lingering unease. As the night went on, I continued to perform, each song a little easier than the last. The crowd's energy was infectious, and I found myself lost in the music once again. At the end of the night, Hunter handed me my tips and a small envelope, just like he had before. "You're really something, Eva," he said. "Keep it up, and you're going to go far." "Thank you, Hunter," I said, smiling, "for everything." As I left the Blue Note, I couldn't help but think of Jordan and the pain in his eyes. I hoped he would find some peace, just as I hoped to find mine. The city streets were quiet as I made my way back to the small room I had rented with my earnings. I felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. The road ahead was still long and uncertain, but with each performance, I felt a little closer to my goal. And for Grandma, I would keep pushing forward, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The following morning, I woke up feeling more tired than usual. The events of the previous night weighed heavily on my mind. Jordan's desperate plea and the intensity in his eyes haunted me. Despite my exhaustion, I knew I had to keep pushing forward. Grandma was counting on me, and I couldn't let her down. I'd arrived at the Blue Note early again, hoping to catch Hunter before the evening rush. The restaurant was quiet, with only a few staff members preparing for the night ahead. I found Hunter in his office, going over some paperwork. "Hey, Hunter," I said, knocking gently on the doorframe. He looked up and smiled. "Hey, Ava, come on in." I stepped inside and took a seat across from him. "I wanted to talk to you about last night." Hunter leaned back in his chair, his expression serious. "I figured you might. How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I replied. It was just a lot to take in. Hunter nodded. "Jordan's a good guy, but he's been through hell. Losing Mary really messed him up." "I get that," I said, "but I don't want to cause any trouble here. I need this job, Hunter. I need to make enough money for Grandma's surgery." Hunter was silent for a moment, his eyes thoughtful. Finally, he spoke. "I've been thinking about that. This place isn't exactly the best environment for a kid your age. And last night made me realize just how vulnerable you are here." My heart sank. "Are you going to fire me?" "No, Eva, I'm not going to fire you," Hunter said quickly. "But I do think we need to make some changes." "What kind of changes?" I asked, a flicker of hope igniting inside me. Hunter leaned forward, his hands clasped on the desk. "I've been talking to some friends in the music industry. I think you have real talent, and you deserve a chance to make something of it. Performing here is a good start, but you need to be in a safer, more supportive environment." "I appreciate that, Hunter, but I need the money now," I said, my voice tinged with desperation. "Grandma doesn't have time to wait." Hunter's eyes softened. "I know, Eva, and I promised I'm going to help you, but we need to be smart about this. I want to set up some gigs for you at other venues, places that are more suited for young performers. And I'm going to talk to some people who might be able to sponsor you or help with the medical bills." Tears welled up in my eyes as I listened to him. "You really do that for me." "Of course," Hunter said, reaching across the desk to take my hand. "You're like family now, Eva, and family takes care of each other." "Thank you, Hunter," I whispered, squeezing his hand. "I don't know how to repay you." "You just keep singing," he said with a smile. "That's all the thanks I need." Just then, Jordan appeared at the door, looking more composed than he had the previous night. He cleared his throat awkwardly. "Hunter, can I talk to you for a minute?" Hunter glanced at me, then nodded. "Sure, Jordan. Come on in." Jordan stepped inside, his eyes meeting mine briefly before looking away. "I just wanted to apologize for last night," he said, his voice sincere. "I didn't mean to cause a scene. It's just, you remind me so much of Mary." "It's okay," I said, offering him a small smile. "I understand." "I hope I didn't scare you," Jordan continued, his expression pained. "I never wanted to hurt you." "You didn't," I assured him. "But maybe we can find a way to help each other." Hunter raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind, Eva?" "Well," I said slowly, "maybe Jordan could help me with my music. He seems to know a lot about it, and I could use all the help I can get." Jordan looked surprised but nodded. "I'd be honored to help, if you'll have me." Hunter smiled. "Sounds like a plan. Let's work together and make this happen." As I left Hunter's office that day, I felt a renewed sense of hope. With Hunter and Jordan on my side, I knew I had a real shot at making my dreams come true. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, I felt like I wasn't walking it alone. The next day, I returned to the Blue Note with a mix of nerves and excitement. Hunter had arranged for Jordan to meet me in the afternoon, long before the restaurant opened. The place was quiet, the chairs still up on tables, and the sunlight streaming through the windows cast long shadows across the wooden floor. I found Jordan sitting at the bar, nursing a cup of coffee. He looked up as I approached, a tentative smile on his face. "Hey, Eva," he greeted me. "Thanks for meeting with me." "Hey, Jordan," I replied, taking a seat next to him. "Thank you for agreeing to help me. I really appreciate it." Jordan nodded, his expression serious. After last night, I feel like I owe you an apology and a bit more. Hunter told me about your situation, and I want to do whatever I can to help. Thanks, I said, my voice soft. I could use all the help I can get. We sat in silence for a moment, each of us lost in our own thoughts. Finally, Jordan broke the silence. You know, you really do remind me of Mary, he said, his voice tinged with sadness. She had a voice that could make anyone stop and listen, just like you. I smiled, feeling a connection to this woman I had never met. Tell me about her, I said. I'd like to know more. Jordan sighed, his eyes distant. Mary she was everything to me. We met when we were young, both chasing dreams that felt just out of reach. She wanted to be a singer, and I was her biggest fan. We were going to conquer the world together, or so we thought. What happened? I asked gently. Life happened, Jordan replied, his voice heavy with regret. Things didn't go as planned. We struggled to make ends meet, and it put a strain on our relationship. One day, she just disappeared. No note, no goodbye. I searched for her for years, but it was like she vanished into thin air. I'm so sorry, I said, reaching out to touch his arm. That must have been incredibly hard. Jordan nodded, his eyes meeting mine. It was. But when I saw you on that stage, it was like she was back. I know it's not fair to put that on you, but I couldn't help it. It's okay, I said, squeezing his arm reassuringly. I'm glad you told me, and I'm glad you're here now. Me too, Jordan said, smiling for the first time. So, let's get to work. Tell me about your music. What do you like to sing? What inspires you? I took a deep breath, thinking about my journey so far. I love singing ballads and songs that tell a story. I guess I just want to connect with people, to make them feel something. And right now, my biggest inspiration is my grandma. Everything I do is for her. Jordan nodded, listening intently. That's a good place to start. Music is all about connection and emotion. If you can make people feel something, you're halfway there. We spent the next few hours going over my songs, with Jordan giving me tips and advice. He was patient and encouraging, pushing me to dig deeper and bring more emotion to my performances. I could see the passion in his eyes, and it was contagious. At one point, we took a break, and Jordan shared more stories about Mary. She had this incredible ability to captivate an audience, he said, his eyes lighting up with the memory. She could make you feel every word, every note. That's what you need to aim for. I'll do my best, I promised, feeling more determined than ever. As the afternoon turned into evening, I felt a growing bond with Jordan. He was more than just a mentor. He was a friend who understood my struggles and shared my passion for music. With his help, I felt like I could truly make a difference, not just for myself, but for Grandma too. Before I left, Jordan stopped me. Eva, I know this might sound crazy, but I believe in you. You have a gift, and I want to see you succeed. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you, Jordan, I said, my heart full of gratitude. I won't let you down. As I walked home that night, I felt a renewed sense of hope. With Hunter and Jordan by my side, I knew I had a real shot at making my dreams come true. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, I felt like I wasn't walking it alone. Despite the newfound support from Hunter and Jordan, the road to raising money for Grandma's surgery was anything but smooth. Balancing school, rehearsals, and performances was exhausting. Every morning I woke up feeling drained, but I had no choice but to push through. The thought of Grandma in pain was a constant reminder of why I was doing this. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at school, I arrived at the Blue Note feeling more worn out than ever. Hunter noticed immediately. Eva, you look like you're about to collapse. Are you sure you're up for this tonight? I forced a smile. I'll be fine, Hunter. I just need a minute to catch my breath. Hunter frowned, clearly worried. You're working too hard. This is a lot for anyone, let alone a kid your age. I don't have a choice, I replied, the frustration seeping into my voice. Grandma needs that surgery, and we don't have any time to waste. Hunter sighed and placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. I get it, Eva. But you need to take care of yourself too. Burning out won't help anyone. I know, I said softly, my eyes downcast. I just wish things were easier. Just then, Jordan walked in, carrying his guitar. He gave me a concerned look. Hey, Ava, you okay? I nodded, though I wasn't entirely convincing. Just tired. It's been a long day. Jordan set his guitar down and took a seat next to me. I've been thinking, maybe we can rearrange some of your set lists. Pick songs that won't strain your voice too much and give you a bit of a break. I'd appreciated the gesture, but I shook my head. Thanks, Jordan, but I need to give it my all. Every performance counts. Jordan exchanged a worried glance with Hunter before turning back to me. We get that, Eva. But pushing yourself too hard can do more harm than good. Let's find a balance, okay? Okay. I agreed reluctantly, knowing they were right. I'll try to take it easier. Despite their advice, the reality of my situation made it difficult to follow through. The next few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights, rushed meals, and constant rehearsals. I felt like I was barely keeping my head above water. One night, after a particularly emotional performance, I was backstage with Jordan. I could feel the tears welling up, and I couldn't hold them back any longer. I don't know if I can do this, Jordan, I confessed, my voice cracking. It's just too much. Jordan looked at me with deep sympathy. Eva, you're one of the strongest people I know. But it's okay to admit when you're struggling. We're here to help you. I just feel so overwhelmed, I said, wiping my tears. I'm scared I won't be able to make enough money in time. Jordan gently squeezed my hand. We'll find a way. You're not in this alone. We'll figure it out together. Hunter joined us, his expression equally concerned. Eva, you've already accomplished so much. Don't underestimate what you're capable of. But also, don't be afraid to lean on us when you need to. Their words were comforting, but the pressure remained. Every day felt like an uphill battle, and I couldn't shake the fear of failing Grandma. The strain began to affect my performances, and I could see the worry in Hunter and Jordan's eyes each night. One particularly tough evening, after forgetting the lyrics to a song I knew by heart, I broke down in the dressing room. Hunter found me sitting on the floor, my face buried in my hands. Eva, he said softly, kneeling beside me. Talk to me. What's going on? I'm messing everything up, I sobbed. I can't even remember the words to my own songs. How am I supposed to save Grandma if I can't do this right? Hunter sighed deeply. Eva, you're doing an incredible job under unimaginable pressure. You need to cut yourself some slack. We all make mistakes, especially when we're tired and stressed. Jordan entered the room looking worried. Eva, you're not alone in this. We'll come up with a new plan. Maybe find more gigs, or even set up a fundraiser. But you need to take care of yourself first. I don't know if I can, I admitted, feeling utterly defeated. Everything feels like it's falling apart. Hunter and Jordan shared a look of determination. We're not giving up, Eva, Jordan said firmly. And neither are you. We'll get through this, one step at a time. As I sat there, surrounded by their unwavering support, I realized that I couldn't let my fear and exhaustion dictate my actions. I had to find a way to keep going, not just for Grandma, but for myself too. With Hunter and Jordan by my side, I knew I had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. A few days after my breakdown in the dressing room, Jordan invited me to his apartment. He said he had something important to share with me. I was curious and a little nervous, but I trusted him. He became a mentor and a friend, someone who genuinely cared about my well-being. Jordan's apartment was cozy and filled with mementos of a life lived passionately. Photos of him with a young woman who must have been Mary adorned the walls, and shelves overflowed with books and records. He motioned for me to sit on the couch and offered me a cup of tea. "Thanks for coming, Eva," he said, taking a seat across from me. "There's something I need to tell you. I think it might help you understand why I've been so invested in helping you." I nodded, sipping my tea. "I'm all ears, Jordan." He took a deep breath, his eyes distant as he began to speak. "I told you a bit about Mary before, but I didn't tell you everything. Mary wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my soulmate. We met when we were both struggling musicians, trying to make a name for ourselves." "What was she like?" I asked, intrigued. "Mary was extraordinary," Jordan said, a soft smile playing on his lips. "She had a voice that could move mountains, and a heart that was even bigger. We were inseparable. She had this dream of making it big, of sharing her music with the world. And I wanted to be there with her, every step of the way." "What happened?" I asked gently. Jordan sighed, his smile fading. "Life got in the way. We were young and naive, thinking love and passion would be enough to get us through. But the music industry is brutal. We faced rejection after rejection, and the pressure started to take its toll. We began to argue, and things got complicated." I could see the pain in his eyes as he continued. "One night, after a particularly bad fight, Mary left. I woke up the next morning to find her gone. No note, no goodbye. I was devastated. I tried to find her, but it was like she vanished into thin air. I spent years searching, hoping she'd come back." "I'm so sorry, Jordan," I said, reaching out to touch his hand. "That must have been incredibly hard." "It was," he admitted, his voice thick with emotion. "I never stopped loving her. And then, years later, I found out that she had passed away. It broke me, Eva. I felt like I'd lost a part of myself." I squeezed his hand, feeling a deep sympathy for him. "I can't imagine what that must have been like." Jordan took a shaky breath, composing himself. "When I saw you on that stage, it was like seeing a ghost. You reminded me so much of Mary. Not just your voice, but your spirit, your determination. I felt this overwhelming need to help you, to make sure you didn't face the same hardships we did." "Jordan," I said softly, "I'm so grateful for everything you've done for me. But you don't have to carry this burden alone. I'm here for you too." He smiled, a genuine warmth in his eyes. "Thank you, Eva. That means a lot. I guess what I'm trying to say is that helping you has given me a sense of purpose. It's like a way to honor Mary's memory." "I understand," I said, feeling a new sense of connection with him. "And I promise, I won't let you down. We'll make it through this together." Jordan nodded, his expression one of determination. "We will. And remember, you're not just doing this for your grandmother. You're doing it for yourself too. You have a gift, Eva, and the world deserves to hear it." His words filled me with a renewed sense of hope. Thank you, Jordan, for everything. We spent the rest of the evening talking about music, life, and our dreams. For the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of peace. Knowing Jordan's story gave me a deeper understanding of his passion and his pain. It also made me realize that I wasn't alone in my struggles. We were both fighting for something bigger than ourselves, and together, we were stronger. As I left Jordan's apartment that night, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead was still uncertain, but I knew I had the strength and the support to face whatever challenges came my way. And with Jordan and Hunter by my side, I felt like I could truly achieve my dreams. The day of the talent competition arrived, bringing with it a mix of excitement and nerves. Hunter had insisted on driving me to the venue, and Jordan joined us for moral support. As we pulled up to the large auditorium, I couldn't help but feel a wave of anxiety wash over me. This was my chance to really make a difference, to potentially win enough money for Grandma's surgery, and the pressure felt immense. Hunter looked at me through the rearview mirror, his eyes filled with encouragement. "You're going to do great, Eva. Just remember why you're here and give it your all." Jordan nodded in agreement. "We believe in you. And more importantly, believe in yourself. You've got this." I took a deep breath and nodded, trying to steady my racing heart. "Thanks, both of you. I'll do my best." Inside the venue, the atmosphere was electric. Contestants were warming up, practicing their routines, and chatting nervously. I found a quiet corner to warm up my voice and go over my song one last time. As I sang softly to myself, I felt a calming presence beside me. "Eva, can I talk to you for a moment?" It was Jordan, his expression serious but supportive. "Of course," I said, pausing my warm-up. Jordan took a deep breath. "I just want you to know that no matter what happens today, you've already accomplished so much. Winning would be amazing, but your journey, your courage, and your determination are what truly matter." I smiled, feeling a surge of gratitude. "Thanks, Jordan. That means a lot." Before he could respond, a voice called out over the loudspeaker. "All contestants, please make your way to the backstage area. The competition will begin shortly." I gave Jordan a quick hug. "Wish me luck." "Good luck, Eva," he said, giving me a reassuring squeeze. "We'll be cheering for you." Backstage, I joined the other contestants, all of us waiting nervously for our turns. The competition was fierce, with talented singers, dancers, and musicians all vying for the top prize. As I listened to the others perform, my nerves grew, but I tried to focus on my own performance. Finally, it was my turn. As I walked onto the stage, the bright lights and the sea of faces in the audience were almost overwhelming. But then I spotted Hunter and Jordan in the front row, their expressions full of pride and encouragement. I took a deep breath and stepped up to the microphone. The introductory chords of my song filled the auditorium, and I began to sing. At first, my voice was shaky, but as I immersed myself in the music, I found my confidence. I sang with all my heart, thinking of Grandma, Hunter, Jordan, and all the people who had supported me along the way. By the time I reached the final notes, I felt a rush of exhilaration. The audience erupted in applause, and I couldn't help but smile. As I left the stage, I felt a wave of relief and accomplishment. No matter what the outcome, I knew I had given it my best. Backstage, Hunter and Jordan were waiting for me, their faces beaming with pride. "You were incredible, Eva," Hunter exclaimed, giving me a hug. Jordan nodded, his eyes shining with pride. "You left everything on that stage. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," I said, my heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you both." The rest of the competition flew by in a blur. As the judges deliberated, the tension backstage was palpable. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The host took the stage, a sealed envelope in hand. "And the winner of this year's talent competition is Eva Thompson." I was stunned, hardly believing what I was hearing. The audience erupted into applause, and Hunter and Jordan were on their feet, cheering loudly. I made my way back onto the stage, tears of joy streaming down my face as I accepted the trophy and the prize money. As I stood there, basking in the moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. All the struggles, the sleepless nights, and the hard work had paid off. Grandma's surgery was now within reach, and I had proven to myself that I could achieve my dreams. After the competition, we celebrated at the Blue Note. The entire staff had gathered to congratulate me, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and excitement. Hunter raised a glass in a toast to Eva, whose talent and determination have inspired us all. Here's to many more successes in the future. Everyone cheered, and I couldn't stop smiling. As I looked around at the faces of the people who had supported me, I felt a deep sense of gratitude and belonging. I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I had the strength and the support to overcome them. Jordan pulled me aside, a proud smile on his face. "You did it, Eva. I always knew you could." "Thank you, Jordan," I said, hugging him tightly. "For everything." He hugged me back, his voice filled with emotion. "This is just the beginning. You have a bright future ahead of you, and I'm honored to be a part of it." As the night went on, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment that I had never experienced before. The competition was a milestone, but it was also a testament to the power of perseverance, support, and belief in oneself. And with my newfound confidence, I knew I was ready to face whatever came next. The weeks following the talent competition were a whirlwind. Winning had opened doors I never imagined, and life was starting to feel like a dream. I could finally afford Grandma's surgery, and we were preparing for it with a mixture of hope and relief. My schedule was packed with interviews, rehearsals, and even a few recording sessions. It was overwhelming but exhilarating. One afternoon, Hunter and I sat in the cafe section of the Blue Note, discussing the future. The place had become my second home, and Hunter, a father figure I never expected to find. "So, what's next for our star?" Hunter asked, a proud smile on his face as he sipped his coffee. I laughed, still getting used to the idea of being a star. "Well, there's the recording contract. They want me to start working on an album right away." Hunter nodded. "That's fantastic, Eva. You deserve all of this. You've worked so hard." "It's all happening so fast," I admitted. "But I'm excited, and a little scared, if I'm being honest." Hunter reached across the table, placing a reassuring hand on mine. "That's natural. Just remember, you have a solid support system. Jordan and I are here for you every step of the way." As if on cue, Jordan walked in, waving as he approached our table. "Hey, you two. What's all this serious talk about?" "We're just discussing Eva's next steps," Hunter said, motioning for Jordan to sit down. Jordan smiled warmly at me. "I have some news that might interest you, Eva. I've been talking to a few industry contacts, and they're really excited about your potential. There's a producer who wants to meet with you next week." My eyes widened in surprise and excitement. "Really? That's amazing." Jordan nodded. "Yes, it is. And there's more. They're interested in a nationwide tour after the album release. It's a big opportunity." "A tour?" I repeated, feeling a mix of thrill and anxiety. "That's incredible. But it's also a lot to take in." Hunter gave me an encouraging look. "You can handle it, Eva. You've already shown how strong and capable you are." "I know," I said, taking a deep breath. "I just want to make sure I'm ready for all of this. It's a huge responsibility." Jordan leaned forward, his expression serious but supportive. "Eva, you've got the talent and the determination, and you have us. We'll help you navigate everything. You're not alone in this." Their confidence in me was reassuring. "Thank you, both of you. I don't know what I'd do without you." Hunter chuckled. "Well, you won't have to find out. We're in this together." As the weeks turned into months, I threw myself into recording my debut album. The studio sessions were intense but incredibly fulfilling. Every song was a piece of my journey, a story of struggle, hope, and triumph. Jordan was there for every session, offering guidance and support, while Hunter managed the Blue Note and kept everything running smoothly. One evening, after a particularly long day in the studio, I returned to the Blue Note to find Hunter and Jordan waiting for me with a surprise. "What's this?" I asked, eyeing the beautifully decorated table and the cake in the center. Hunter grinned. "We wanted to celebrate. Your first single is officially complete." Jordan nodded, his eyes shining with pride. "And it's phenomenal, Eva. You've poured your heart into this, and it shows." I felt a swell of emotion as I looked at them. "Thank you. This means so much to me." Hunter handed me a knife to cut the cake. Go ahead, Eva. This is your moment. As I cut the cake, laughter and cheers filled the room. The small celebration felt like a culmination of everything we had worked for. Later that night, after everyone had left, I sat with Jordan and Hunter, reflecting on how far we had come. Do you remember the first night I sang here? I asked, smiling at the memory. Hunter chuckled. How could I forget? You blew everyone away. Jordan nodded. And look at you now. About to release your first single. It's just the beginning, Eva. I felt a warm sense of accomplishment and gratitude. I couldn't have done it without you two. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Hunter shook his head. You had it in you all along. We just helped you see it. As I left the Blue Note that night, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. My dreams were becoming reality, and the future was brighter than I ever imagined. Grandma's surgery was a success, and she was recovering well, her spirits lifted by the promise of a better tomorrow. The day my single was released, I stood in the living room with Grandma, Hunter, and Jordan, listening to it on the radio. When the DJ introduced my song and it started to play, I felt a rush of emotion. We all listened in silence, the music filling the room with hope and joy. After it ended, Grandma took my hand, her eyes brimming with tears. I'm so proud of you, Eva. Your music will touch so many lives. Hunter and Jordan nodded in agreement. This is just the beginning, Jordan said, his voice filled with pride. You're going to do great things, Eva. I smiled, feeling the love and support surrounding me. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. As I looked around at the people who had become my family, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I was ready to face them. With their unwavering support and my newfound confidence, I felt unstoppable. The journey had been long and difficult, but it had led me to this moment, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next.